Oh, there we go. Those face nuzzles and touches like that are very important. Oh, cubs, that's mine, my mom. With a lion pride, it affirms the social bonds between them. So it's warmed up quite a bit, the sun's coming out. And it looks like those ones have moved into the shade already. It's not going to be too long. Here we go, you can see another lioness has got up, moving towards the shade. Where's that Birmingham? Birmingham boy is still sitting behind us. Can't really see him from here. There we go, some allo grooming between the two adult lionesses. Now, Shamsung is wondering, are these lioness hungry? Do I think they might be looking to make a kill today? Well, lions are always looking to make a kill. They are opportunists. And some of them have eaten more than others, which makes me think they killed something small like a kudu or waterbuck. So they definitely would hunt. I think, unless they happen to stumble across something in the next half an hour or so, it's unlikely that they're going to hunt during the day unless something stumbles into them. I think they're going to find some nice shade to rest, and then maybe on the sunset safari they'll be out on the hunt. Okay, so we are stuck on the wrong side of the river, so to speak, at the moment. As Xander zooms out, you'll see there's quite a steep bank we're not going to be able to cross, and it's going to take me some serious maneuvering to get out. But before we do that, let's go have a look at the Birmingham boy. See. There he is. Oh, just that push in the way. Let me try to go forward a little bit. There we go. He's a tired kitty. Now, the Birmingham boys, we now know, have 3 prides. They could have more. They have the Nkuhumas, the sticks, and the torchwood pride that comes in from the Kruger National Park. And he's looking quite well fed. Hi, Marianne. Marianne's in Texas. Marianne's wondering what would explain the difference between the Nkuhuma and sticks pride, health, parenting practice, etc. Well, I'd say from a parenting practice, I'd say their strategies are pretty similar. From the health thing, I think the sticks are just unlucky enough to have been in the area where there's mange. And I think they might have even picked it up from the Birmingham boys. Not this one, but one of the others. Who spent a lot of time with those sticks cubs when they were younger. So it's possibly the fact that the Birminghams have spent more time with the sticks prides and passed on that mange to the females and onto their cubs. It could be the difference in the health. Oh, he's a tired kitty. Now we're going to try to catch up with the cubs again. Oh, are you going to move? Going to join them? He's thinking about it, but that would require effort. What's going to win? Head on paw? I think it might. Sleeping. That head's getting heavier and heavier, and as his head descends to his paw, we're going to try to cross this little river system. Let's go see what James is up to.
I've just discovered, everybody, 2 fish eaglies. But now we're rolling back over this hill. Are we okay there, Brian? Don't lean backwards, we're going to fall back. There's a fish eagle. There is another fish eagle just below it. That's a juvenile. You can see that because it's a bit scruffy. Its white feathers haven't quite fully reached maturity. And there's another one there. And they're sitting here at the Arathusa waterhole. That's where we are now. And we're going to see what else is there. Waterhole is a very kind term to describe what this is now. It is now a giant mud wallow with the carcasses of many catfish, and that is why these fish eagles are sitting here looking so very plump and happy in the late dry season. Let's go and take a closer look. Oh, there's another one there. Another 2 there. 4 fish eaglies. Now, they're not normally the bravest of birds, so they might fly. We'll just try and see if we can get a little bit closer. I don't mean that as an aspersion on their characters, but you see, they don't like to be around us much. They feel the emotion of fear when they're around us, everyone. Oh, there's this one. You see this one, Brian? That one there. Can you see it now? Brilliant. This one is quite close to us. So I'm just going to... Did you hear that? Oh, that's so cool! Everybody loves the sound of a fish eagle. Isn't that lovely? I think that's just fantastic. Come on, do it again. Is him throwing his head back? That is so fantastic. It is a wonderful call. I mean, it's a bit cliched, the sound of the fish eagle, because it's everyone's kind of favourite call. But you can see why. It is magnificent, and to hear that echoing over a waterhole in the middle of the summer is, oh, it's wonderful. And he'll just be watching the waterhole to see what's there. They do scavenge quite a lot, you know. Yeah, Brian, there's another one flying. Well spotted. Just tossed the other one out of the tree. This is so cool. I'm very glad we weren't on the first one we were looking at, everyone, because he's just relieved his bowels. That's so cool. Now, come on, call again. Come on. Do it. I want to get a picture of him with his head throwing back like that in gay abandon as he sings to the wilderness. Not so much. That's really wonderful to see, everybody. It's not common. that we would see them calling like that and hear them calling. Let's go a little bit closer to the waterhole, see what we can find that side. There was some impala down there. We'll just see if that thing flies. I'll turn off the car immediately and Brian will be able to follow it. We'll just ease our way around, because to see them fly is just wonderful. We'll get him backlit. He's a very brave fellow, that one. All the others have absconded. There's one more down by the water here, I think. Oh, and you can smell the mud now, you know. You can smell it's kind of a bit fetid. And there's some bush. Oh, there's a hippo down there. Can you believe it? That just tells you how little water there is anywhere else, if there's a hippopotamus in here. You can hear them calling again. Hello, miss. You're wondering about what happens during the rainy season when the dams get full, or if they get full. I will go up onto the dam wall here, miss, and I'll show you. They get very full. You will not believe the difference in the landscape. Basically, if we stop here, the water line will go up, basically up to as high as we are here. Sometimes that's a bushbuck leaping out of the dam. But you can see there where the water line is. It's above that bushbuck. So, I mean, tons and tons and tons of water. Kilotons of water that flow into these areas and sit. And I don't think that this dam will have been dry for many, many years. This will be a very strange occurrence. Amazing. I love watching them move like that. If they leap over something or up onto something, their agility is incredible. There's still fish eagles yelling all around us. Just contemplating whether to be brave enough and go back into the water, or to just sort of go down into the drainage line below to avoid us. So a bushbuck, everyone, is not very common around here. Bushbuck, nyala and kudu, the three spiral-horned or tragular-leafed antelope that we get here, and the bushbuck being the least common of them. And easily identifiable. Sometimes they can be a little confusing, but that one's easily identifiable by the fact that it has no stripes. So sometimes you can confuse a bushbuck ewe perhaps with a young nyala ewe, but there are no stripes, just the spots. A Bambi-like sort of look, and also that sort of band of white underneath the neck. Very obvious. Alright, let's go up onto the top here and have a look at the hippo. Now, this might be slightly disturbing to some of you. This hippo is alive, make no mistake, but this is the most suboptimal kind of hippopotamus territory. You can see where he's walked in. You follow behind him, you can see where he's come from. And how on earth this thing is surviving, I don't know. I'm just listening on the radio now. They were talking about a dead hippo somewhere, I think on Simbambili. So the hippo are really going to struggle, and I know during the course of the summer Kruger Park was talking about starting to cull some of the hippopotamus because they're starting to die along the fringes of the rivers, especially the young bulls. Brian, we didn't notice, but there are 4 oxpeckers looking at us from very, very close by here. Look at these 4 oxpeckers. Oh, why did you fly away? They were sitting so close. I was going to get a picture. And Anna Marie, you want to know if these hippos would ever go to the Sand River in a bad drought? Absolutely. I think most of them have gone to the Sand River. Sand River is not flowing at the moment, though. So there'll be pools, but they certainly are not flowing with any great enthusiasm. So not really any real point going to the Sand River. Sabi River, a bit more water, but remember, hippos are highly territorial, which means that they will not tolerate each other in great numbers. So if a whole lot of them are around and the water is concentrating, eventually the young bulls and the less dominant animals are going to be excluded from the water, and they will die, unfortunately, and that's just the way it goes. I personally don't believe that culling them is an answer. I think it's a natural part of the system, and unfortunately, while it's very difficult to watch, I think they should be given the benefit of the doubt and perhaps be allowed to try and survive through the drought without our intervention. You might also just be able to hear a bit more bird song now. We can hear a brown-hooded kingfisher going, pity for you, maybe singing to the hippopotamus. Hello, Lulu Fire. You're wondering about pumping water into this dam. I don't know specifically because we're at Arathusa, so I'm not sure how much water could be pumped into this dam from boreholes. Borehole water into a dam this size would almost certainly denude whatever little water there was left in the aquifers that are used for the lodges and used for various other small pans that are pumped. No, a huge dam like this is not actually natural. So to pump it full of water would extract water from other parts of the ecosystem. And remember, while a hippopotamus is an obvious part of the ecosystem that is obviously struggling, remember that there are thousands and thousands of other species here that aren't so obvious, that are depending on the water that would eventually be taken away from them were we to pump an area like this from an underground aquifer or borehole. So although the little, I don't know, fungi and microbes and bits of tree and that sort of thing. That's a good point here, Mark. Well, all of those little things also have just as much a right to life, of course, as this hippopotamus does, Mark. You're saying that this hippo is not flicking his ears or opening or moving his eyes. Is he actually still alive? I'm looking with my binoculars. I think he's breathing. Is he, Brian? Yes, he is. I've just seen him move. He's definitely breathing.
Yeah.
His eyes have just kind of opened as if to say, leave me be. I'm just about alive. It must have been a hell of an effort for him to get in there. Alright, Brent has managed to make it through his particular section of the windy, impenetrable forest. He's back with the lion cubs. Let's go and take a look.
So it is now quiet time. All the excitement of the morning is over. Everyone running and jumping on each other has tired the poor little tykes out. And now they are fast asleep. Now I'm wondering if that male is going to come join them. He's lying about 60 meters away. And you can see there's lots of heavy heads and droopy eyes at the moment. They've got nice little shady quarry thicket. Hi, Ellen in Arkansas saying, do I ever get an uneasy feeling sitting next to a lion or any other predator that hasn't eaten in a while? Well, not really, Ellen. Fortunately, I've spent a lot of time with these animals, so I generally know how to read their behavior pretty well, and I've never really had that uneasy moment with a hungry creature. So there are the other cubs sleeping behind. You can hear a golden or black-headed oriole actually. Trying to get comfortable. Just keep checking behind us in case that male starts wandering in. Because the one lioness is, there we go, her eyes are up. Johnny, can you see behind us? Is that male coming?
I checked earlier, I can't see him.
No, we can't see it. Or maybe she's seen something else. Shamsung's wondering, is it possible if a new coalition of lions came in, would it take over all prides or only one pride? It is possible that they would take over one pride. It all depends on the size of the coalition and whether they already hold territory sort of bordering the single pride's territory. Sorry about the movie, I'm just trying to figure out what she's looking at. So the male is a little bit further to the left of where she's looking. Maybe there's a unwitting in Nyala. No, I'm going to go to sleep. And I think this is where the Nkuhumas are going to be for the majority of the day. Sarah in Georgia is wondering, is the southern pride anywhere near Djuma or Arathusa? Unfortunately not. It's possibly the pride of lions lives the furthest away from us here. We're way up in the north of the Sabi Sands, and the southern pride is way down south. So unfortunately, no southern pride up here. The prides of lions that we see in the north, well, the ones we see the most of course, are the Nkuhumas, who are snoozing next to us. The Sticks is another pride we see more regularly, but more normally further down to the east. And in Buffelshoek, you get the Talamati pride coming in from Manuleti, Kruger. Torchwood, you get the Torchwood pride coming in from Kruger. And then right on the sort of southern boundary, Cheetah Plains, that area in Marmana, I think it's called the Four Ways pride, occasionally come up that far north. And then if we head off to the west, occasionally Tsalalas and Mungen prides come into Arathusa and Shirley, Sibambili, that area. Male lion coalitions, of course the Birmingham boys, who are around a lot with us, and then it's possible the four-ways males might come. I think the boundary between them and the Birminghams is just south of Cheetah Plains. And then, of course, the Majinga lines in the west. The Matimbas are now down in the south. They don't really come up this way anymore. And then the Salati males that come in from the north. Although I think the Birminghams have put a dent in the Salati's lion prides. And we can hear all the birds around us. We're right next to a little dry riverbed. We've got that, and that those are crested barbets. And you can hear the oil and that beautiful sort of liquid chortle. It's an arrow-marked babblers babbling away. One of the larger woodpecker species. Peck, peck, pecking. Oh, we have a head up. Not for very long, I feel. So Basil is wondering, how do you age a lioness? Basil, it can be quite difficult. Station Yellow Road North, just to your west, and then the male lions to your east. Sorry about that, I had to call someone in. He was about to drive past us, didn't see us hiding in the bushes. So, sorry about that, Basil, who's a brand new viewer, so welcome to Safari Live, Basil. Basil, it's quite difficult to age a lioness. As far as I know, the Nkuhuma lionesses, they're currently probably 6 to 10 years old, the adults, that is, and they are in fine fettle in their prime. So, unfortunately, we're in the only real spot where we can see the lions nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make space here so the other guys can come look, and we'll go look at the Birmingham boy. But it is going to take me a little bit of creative reversing to get out of here, so bear with us. One last look at the sleepy cub face. And we have been with them all morning, so we've been incredibly spoiled. If you just stand by there, I'll make space for you. While we do that, let's go to James and see how he's faring in the west.
I'm faring, my emotions now, everybody, have changed. I'm now feeling quite amused because the lions were described to me by Rebecca in the final control as muchis. Now, most of you won't know what on earth that means. Much is tired in the language Afrikaans, aka Pidgin Dutch. And muchis, I can only assume, is Rebecca's way of saying a little bit tired. Anyway, so it goes. Now, we're going to stick our noses in here. This is where you'd expect to find some dwarf mongoose. You might also expect to find a black mamba, or a Mozambican spitting cobra, or a snouted cobra, perhaps resting for the winter time. Yeah, sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. No. Thankfully no snakes in there. Now, well, the other thing I wanted to point out to you was that this mound is probably still active and will become again with a little bit of temperature and a little bit of moisture. And you can see here, this is the fresh growth. This was probably built about a month ago, possibly after that last rain that we had. Let me just break a piece off. And I think the snakes will live in these mounds probably very comfortably with the termites. But what's interesting, the mongoose will eat termites, absolutely. So I think what they do is they go in there, and I suspect the termites seal them off. So they probably sacrifice a piece of the mound so that they can live without sort of abuse from the mongoose. And there you can see it's largely, the lattice, there's not much tunnel in it. It's almost completely solid, just with one or two pieces of tunnel there. And that's so that the termites can move to and from the fungus chambers, carrying the food that they eat, and also to maintain the temperature inside. The temperature inside, I think, if I'm not mistaken, roughly 34 degrees Celsius, I think, inside a termite mound. Brian is nodding. He knows, of course, because he used to live in a termite mound with some meerkats at one stage when he was much smaller. Not so, Brian?
Yeah, this is true.
There we go. 34 degrees Celsius, which in Fahrenheit is around about 90, I guess. It must be about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's the temperature at which it maintains. And they have to do that because, of course, they can't do it internally. They cannot do that physiologically. And so to maintain their activity levels, they must maintain the temperature of the mound. And so the mound actually acts almost like a thermoregulating organism, as you and I are. Now, the story behind the road we're going down now, well, it's not a profound story, it's just the reason we're travelling down it. This is Hofmann's to our right-hand side, or to the east of us, and Karula and one of the cubs went in there this morning. They were chased by hyenas. They did see both the cubs, though, so I think one of them probably just went up a tree somewhere inside Arathusa still. So that we might catch he or she going across. We might catch Karula coming to fetch him. I don't know. We'll go and see. And also Tingana was wandering about in this area, up and down this road sometime earlier this morning, perhaps patrolling his territory. So that's why we're over here. We might be lucky to see something like Tingana or one of the two cubbies. It would be very nice, wouldn't it, Brian? Yes. As Brent has had all the cubs today, and we've had some elephants, and we've had some bushbuck and nyala, but no cubs, and a hippopotamus that was very sad. That made me feel quite sad, Brian. It made me feel a certain sense of sad emotion. Anyway, that's the plan from now. Now, there's the derv. And the derv is not alone, everybody. He's sitting with the red-billed buffalo weaver. I keep forgetting, of course, that one may as well be filming with a fisheye in comparison with the other camera. That's a red-billed buffalo weaver. They do occur in great numbers in this area, and I've noticed in the last few days they're becoming much more active. They'll start to rebuild their nests and do renovations for the coming breeding season, and they're the ones that build those huge stick nests on the northwestern side of dead or dying trees. You hear the dove calling. And you can hear a drongo. Otherwise, again, not a very loud dawn chorus. Very peaceful. Okay, let's carry on. Ooh, this is quite interesting, everyone. Just a light from the vehicle. Over here, we have got hyena dung, which many of you will know about, but it's all over here. Can you see around here, when I'm walking? This is unquestionably a boundary. So they will all come past here when they're on their patrols, the hyena clan members, and they will defecate here, and this will be a boundary between two hyena clans. Now the interesting thing is which two clans, because there, It's a bird. Over there, we know that about the Arathusa clan of hyenas. They're in Arathusa. Behind us here, this is too far south for our Djuma clan, which isn't our Djuma clan anymore because they're not on Djuma. But there's probably another clan of hyenas that lives around here. But it could be our Djuma clan because we have seen one or two of our males coming down into this area at various stages. And just have a look here. Can you see this, Brian? This is fine. Here is the white outer dung, if you like. And as soon as you open it up, you can see it's green. And that's calcium from the bones that the hyenas eat. And as the calcium is exposed to the sun, it gets this white crust, and that white crust is oxidized calcium. That is a small chemistry lesson for the day. It's always good to have your chemistry lesson early, Brian, so that you remember it.
Indeed.
Yes. On we go. I'm not going to pick that up, Brian, because it's disgusting. Right, Brent has managed to move in amongst the trees and he's found himself a large and hairy male lion.
So he's still lying about 60 meters from the rest of the pride, dozing away. And we're going to leave the lions to doze. There's a couple of other cars that are trying to get in here. So we're going to leave them, but we will catch up with them on the sunset safari. So let's go see what other wonderful creatures are about on Djuma this morning. So what a fantastic lion, multiple lion sightings we had today with the cubs, with the moms playing, jumping up and down, and we're going to go see, I feel like some elephants. What do you feel like, Sander?
Yeah.
I think elephants will be quite nice. And we're pretty sure the Nkuhumas are going to be here on the sunset safari, so exciting prospect. They look like they might hunt this evening, so definitely I think James or myself will definitely be here in a few hours. Now, Ginny's wondering whether other animals will be affected by the smell of lion dung on the vehicle. They can do, especially buffalo. So they do run, but what I'm going to do is let's have a look, see if I did make the faux pas of driving over a landmine. Let's just get far enough away from the lions. The lion. Okay, we should be far enough. So let me inspect my tyre to see if maybe she was smelling possibly buffalo dung rather than lion dung. Let's go have a look. I really hope it wasn't lion dung that I drove over. No, it wasn't lion dung, so it must have been something else we drove over, and I can't see any sign of lion dung on my tyres, which is a relief. So I think all the dung we're smelling was just where they had defecated around where we were driving through. I am normally very careful about driving over lion dung. It is a very unpleasant smell to keep with you through the day. Now, I think I might do a little gander past Galago Pan where those monkeys were alarm calling. Now, there's two possibilities. It could have been a leopard, or it could have been the 5th Nkuhuma lioness, who's not with the rest of the pride, who's still got those slightly younger cubs, who she introduced to the pride for the first time 2 days ago. But maybe she feels they're not quite ready to spend all their time with their boisterous cousins and aunts just yet. Now, morning Mark. Mark's wondering, would the main predators, like lions, I'm supposing leopards and hyenas, hunt in the morning or do they prefer the evening? Well, one must remember all predators are opportunists. They'll hunt whenever they can. So if something happens to walk into where they are now, they will go for it. But generally, early morning is sort of, they will hunt, definitely, but they do prefer hunting from sunset into the dark hours. So darkness gives them a slight advantage, and they've got incredible night vision, but it's not night vision as such. There still has to be ambient light. So light of the stars, moon, reflection off the clouds. So if it were complete blackness, a lack of light, the lions would be as blind as we are. Now, I think it's definitely worth going to have a squiz around Galago Pan, that area again. You never know what might pop out, and also the elephants seem to have been in that area quite frequently as well. These vehicles were definitely not made for tall people. They are incredible though, because we are able to maneuver into positions and go through areas that other cars would never be able to. So there is that benefit of them. But and also of course the Z150, which is the camera that's on Rusty. You've got the super zoom feature, so for birding it's really wonderful. But shortly that's not going to make a difference, because I think we're going to have those cameras on all the vehicles. And mentioning birds, and I'm sure James wishes he had this vehicle because he's got a bird to show you.
That is a grey-headed bush shrike, everyone. And Brent is absolutely correct. I do wish we had the other vehicle because of it. Nah, we're not going to get it now. Hang on one sec. We might just get one more view. It's just on the... You see that there? It's gone. Alright, this is exactly where Karula crossed over into Hofmann's. That's Hofmann's. It's a Hofmann's grey-headed bush shrike, that. And we also found Tingana's tracks. So I'm peering at all of the termite mounds to see if there isn't a leopard sitting on top of one. But in the meantime, there is a zebra up ahead. And we're just going to bounce our way along this road until we see them nicely. There we are. There, Brian. Both sides of the road, zebra.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Let no one ever use the joke, "Oh, guys, look over there, zebra crossing." So deeply unfunny. Just behind the termite mound. Now they will focus on termite mounds just about all the time, but mainly in summer, when the grass grows out of the mounds, and it is very delicious grass apparently. Let's go a little bit forward. And we've got quite a few zebra this side. I think I prefer the ones on the left, Brian, don't you? They're all over here. It's quite a nice big kinship group, both sides of the road. We'll just stop to see them there, and to our eyes, of course, in amongst the green, that white and black does look fairly obvious. But as Brian was pointing out the other day, when they get into that grey stuff, that grey wintry vegetation, they do just disappear. A little bit further forward. There's actually some beautiful colour here, everyone. We've got the black and white of the zebras, the copper yellow of the leaves, and above them the grey of the sky. Beautiful deep grey sky, and then they're all lit from behind. Well, not from behind them. They're not backlit. They're lit beautifully from the sun coming from behind us. Isn't that nice? Very pretty. I might have to take a picture, Brian. Hold your horses, everyone. That was also a zebra joke. Did you get that, Brian? Yes. Very peacefully eating through here. And then, they're not alone, of course. Just above them, a forked... Oh, now he's moved, of course. Let's see where he goes. A fork-tailed drongo. Just following, seeing what little bits and pieces he can pick up from what they kick up off the ground. It's mainly, I think, the action of their grazing, where they grab a piece of grass and then tear at it, which dislodges the roots and will dislodge, say, invertebrates sitting on the roots. For example, the cicadas we heard last night, they live underground on roots, mainly tree roots, of course, but they live underground on roots during the course of the winter time. I'm sure there are other insects and invertebrates that live on the roots of grasses, and they will get dislodged by animals like zebras and buffalo and all the other grazers. And so you'll always find a little herd of antelope, or equids in this case, attended by one or two drongos, and sometimes, if it's a big herd of animals, you'll find them attended by wattled starlings. The world's fastest zebra photographer cannot find the zebra in his screen. Amazing. Very nice. Well, there we go, and thank you to many of you who say that I was quite emotional when the zebra was born. So for those of you who don't know what that means, we watched and a zebra being born. When was that? That was probably must have been in March, I guess. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. Dave and I watched a zebra being born as the last sort of light of the day faded. It was an emotional time, actually. That's very true. That made me feel happy. It made me feel more amazed, I think, than anything else, though. It was just astounding to watch this little thing stand up. Yeah, that's very true. That was an emotional sighting. Still didn't manage to cry alive, though, Brian.
Oh, you missed your opportunity.
I missed my opportunity. I'm sure it'll happen one day. Alrighty, let's move on here, just see if Tingana hasn't perhaps crossed north onto Djuma. We're at the sort of corner between Hofmann's, that's here. Djuma's just the other side of this junction here, on the right-hand side. And Arathusa over there. And this road is regularly used, which is why it is so bumpy. Rutted. Rebecca says I'm getting a bush massage. Rebecca's going to be getting a severe tongue lashing when I return home. Right, we're now at the corner where we have had... It's amazing how this corner, although it is obviously a human barrier, it's not an animal barrier at all, but it is amazing to me how often at this corner we've had territorial animals meeting up, some of whose territories lie to the north and some of whose territories lie to the south. This is basically a boundary for Karula. Yes, she does overlap into Hofmann's, but it's Karula and Shadow's kind of boundary corner, and also used to be for Tundi, not Tundi, yes, Tundi as well. Okay, Brenty is driving around, not sure what he's doing at the moment. Let's go and find out what his plans are for the last bit of the drive. We'll see if Tingana crosses this road.
Well, we just came and went past the Galago Pan where those monkeys were alarming earlier, seeing if we could see any sign of anything, any tracks. no such luck so far. But I'm really looking for some elephants. I really feel like elephants, and hopefully, I know as a huge favorite of all of our viewers, there's a little male elephant who has been nicknamed Benjamin Button. We haven't seen him in a while. Hopefully, we'll bump into him on this safari. Oh, now that it's warming up a little bit, we could do some birding as well. I feel like we haven't birded for a while. Add some birds to the bird lists, but before that, we have got some mammals. There's a female kudu. Oh, look at that on her side of her face. Can we zoom in there, please? Oh, it's just, I thought it was a scar. It's not. She's been watering out of the eyes. Could be from dust. It could have been from a thorn or something that hooked her. It almost looked like a big scar, but it's not. Just a little bit of sleep, as we would call it. Now she's eating drying. Here we go. She's eating drying buffalo thorn leaves, and she's probably only been able to reach those because it looks like that branch was broken by an elephant. Obviously still some nutrients in there, otherwise she wouldn't be eating. Now that is another thorny tree, the buffalo thorn. Carol in New York is wondering, why do so many trees have thorns in Africa? Well, if you think about it, Carol, the trees here have to have defense mechanisms because there's so many things that eat them. There you go, some impala behind her. So that's why trees have developed thorns. It's to protect themselves from browsing species. Oh, there's some impala running through with the joy of life. Oh, there's some more kudu up ahead. Her ears look a little bit too focused. No, she was just listening to where those impala were running. Now, Justin S. is wondering, are there any trees in the bush that are an eye irritant, similar to pepper spray? Well, there's a couple. If you get the milky latex from them on your fingers and you rub your eyes, it's worse than pepper spray. They can cause blindness. One of those is the Tumbuti tree, and the other is a euphorbia. There's some more kudu. And what are you going to eat? What are you going to eat next? Oh, there we go. She's actually gone for another little buffalo thorn. Now, buffalo thorn is one of our evergreen trees, and it is very important for the browsing species. So the species that eat leaves, especially in a drought like today. Oh, today, this year. Sorry about that. We're going to let them wander off, and I think we're going to keep looking for elephants, but we're going to do a bit of a bird focus for the next little while. I feel like I haven't been birding properly in a while, but it has been difficult to bird with all the big cats we've had around. So let's see if we can add a few new species to your bird lists. So if there are any new viewers out there, of course we see all these wonderful animals like the impala and the kudu and lions and leopards, but also we do like to look at our birds. I love birding, a very big fan of bird watching. So a lot of our viewers keep a lovely bird list, so we encourage you to do the same. And speaking of birds, it seems like James is on feathered form this morning.
That's very nice alliteration from Brent Leo Smith there. Feathered form. A bit of a silhouetted feathered form there, but I'm going to allow you the opportunity to decide for yourselves what this bird with the foul voice is. That is not a singing voice to be jealous of, would you say, Brian?
No.
Mm-mm.
There it is.
There it is, everyone. The lilac-breasted roller, tone deaf, and growling its song. Now, I think that these two, there's a couple here, I think that they are making a nest in this tree. I've seen a pair of them on this tree twice in a row now. Let's just watch. Straight into the nest. Ha! Look. How fantastic is that? Now I wonder if Mrs. isn't inside there, perhaps already incubating. It's very early for them though, I would have thought. They're having a lover's tiff perhaps over the decorating. What do you think, Brian?
Probably.
Definitely, he's not happy. I'm saying he, that could be the female, I don't know. It's impossible to tell the difference. Yes, I know. Just remember it's her house, my friend. Don't ever mistake it for your own. Yes, I know. Ah, it's difficult. It's just like it was her wedding, so it is her house. It's just the way it is. Yes, you'll have to get over it. Well, you can fight it if you like. It really is a voice to rival the foulest of any. I think the crow has the worst voice. Let's just see if he goes, like I said, it could easily be she. Let's just see if he or she goes back towards that hole. Scott Dyson would be most proud of me that we've managed to find this nest. And for those of you who don't know, Scott was a presenter here for a while, and he had the most uncanny ability to find things like scorpions and nests and that sort of thing. Oh, look. There we go. Straight in. How cool is that? Oh, I think that's fantastic. I can hear them talking inside there. Can you hear them, Brian?
Yeah.
They're just talking quietly to them. Oh, it's all the way in. It's so cool. Let's see if he comes out again. He's very comfortable now, sitting on the couch, on his porch, observing the world go by outside. So maybe try and find... This is so exciting. I can't believe we found this. This is so cool. Now, I know I'm going to miss the photograph, but I have to just quickly check how many eggies they lay. Scott's nest last year had 2 little chicks in it, and I think it's only 2 eggs that they lay. Roof or roller. Monogamous and fiercely territorial. Nests in a natural tree cavity, obviously, or sometimes a large woodpecker hole. That's a woodpecker hole. It's definitely been cleaned out. And it says on this brilliant bird app, not very vocal. Well, in this case, that is an inescapable untruth. Aerial display, blah blah, blah blah. 2 to 4 eggies. Broad oval. Yeah, 2 fresh eggs in one nest in one day suggests egg dumping. So egg dumping means that they lay them all at one time. Many birds will lay eggs sort of one day at a time, so the chicks are born at slightly different sizes. Well, they're all born the same size, but they grow so quickly that they changed size very quickly. And so you've always got slightly, you can tell which ones were born first. This is just magnificent. Just want to see if he comes out again, he or she. But that is obviously the selected nest site. Could be shouting at us, you know, it's not impossible. Come on, out you come. Do wonder what that bird is saying, why it would be talking like that. Back in. Just wait and see. It's often a precursor to them sort of shooting out like a cannonball. Or settling down for the day, as this would seem to be the case. Alright. Shall we pack it in, Brian? How very, very entertaining indeed. While we go away from here, we're going to head past Treehouse Dam, see what's going on there. Let's head across to Brent and see how his feathered morning, I couldn't think of another F. We'll see you later.
So I'm looking for a bird party at the moment, and quite often you'll have up to 7 or 8 species traveling in a bird party together. But unfortunately my bird party hotspots have not been producing the goods so far. So I'm moving away from the crest, where I was looking for a bird party that has normally helmet shrikes, southern black tits, cisticulars, white-browed scrub robin, and I'm not finding any, so I'm going to head down towards one of the little dry river systems, and maybe we'll find a bird party along in the thickets there, but hopefully we'll see something before then. Now, of course, you can bird watch wherever you are in the world. All you need is a good pair of binoculars, and even the last time I traveled to North America, I was bird watching on my travels, and the first bird I recorded on my North American bird list was the Canada goose in Seattle, and literally outside of the hotel where I was staying. And I was lucky enough to see, or while I was in that Seattle area, I also got to see my first bear ever on one of the islands in the Puget Sound. Just ambling down the road. It is my only bear sighting. I would love to get to go see grizzlies and polar bears one day, and I'm sure I've got a long list of things I want to go see, and I'm sure one day I'll hopefully get to most of them. I can't even hear a bird at the moment. This is quite unusual. Of course, it's because I'm looking for birds now that they have decided to become very scarce. Maybe we should just follow James around. He seems to be having all the feathered form this morning. Now, hi Simon. Simon says we mostly see yellow-billed hornbills, but are there crowned hornbills on the property? And when was the last one seen? Crowned hornbills will probably move through. They won't be resident, especially with the drought. They're going to prefer slightly wetter areas. But we do also have two other. What is that in the tree there? It's very, very harsh light. But what have we got there? I think I know what it is, but it is going to be very much of a silhouette of a bird. And Simon, I will. Indeed, it is. It is a very silhouetted lilac-breasted roller, so we're not going to spend too much time. I know you guys have had a lovely sighting with James. So talking about the hornbill species, Jamie heard trumpeter hornbills, which is also not one we see too often here around the lodge the other morning, but we do get the grey hornbill, the red-billed hornbill, and of course the largest hornbill species, the ground hornbill. We also haven't seen or heard ground hornbills for a while. This could be because of the drought. They might have moved into an area where there's more potential food. Okay, so I can hear some birds now. We got to the thickets. Hear a white-browed scrub robin calling, but quite far off. Where are all the bird parties? And Simon, I will have a look for the other hornbill species as we move around. Hopefully we will be able to find the grey hornbill, which I think is my favorite. I just really love their call, and the red-billed hornbill as well. Eggsy, where are the birds? You chased them away. Now, of course, as I was saying, birding is something that you can do anywhere. And there's even urban birding safaris you can take yourself on. And one of the sort of, the special, the sort of big tick on the urban birding safari around the world is an incredible bird. It's also the fastest bird in the world. But I'm going to let you talk about that in a second, because while I keep looking for birds, I keep finding large mammals. And there we go. We've got two male giraffe. There's one feeding off a tambuti tree, and the other feeding off what looks to be a saffron or gardenia. I can't really see from this distance. Here we go. Now, two males this close together and two adult males. There's two reasons that might be, and they are the complete opposite. One is that there's a female who might be coming to estrus close by somewhere, but the more likely reason is that there's no female in estrus close by. A big adult giraffe bull. And they're eating a lot of tambuti trees at the moment. Normally they only eat tambutis when they've got an infestation of internal parasites in their stomachs. But I think it's probably the fact that there's so little to eat around that the tambutis are making up a big part of the giraffe's diet at the moment. So we'll leave the giraffes to munch on their tambuti trees while we continue our search for birdies. Now, Christina Cafe would like to know, what is the most incredible act act of animal survival I've ever witnessed. Whew, that's a difficult one. You know, I've seen probably buffalo and hippo come back from some of the most incredible wounds. I mean, massive scarring, and I mean, massive gashes, loss of blood. And for weeks we've thought, oh, he's going to die today, he's going to die today. And I've seen them come back from that. But I've also seen lions come back from incredible damage. But I think the most incredible act of animal survival, I unfortunately have not seen it myself, but I have seen a video of it, is of a two-legged hyena. And so it lost both its back legs. And I think if you YouTube it, you might be able to find a clip of it. And it's absolutely astounding how this hyena operates only on its two front legs. I think that is possibly, for me, one of the most incredible African animal survival stories. Oh, no birds on my birding hotspots. I'm going to have to throw the net a bit wider. So back to the urban birding. So one of the sort of the big tick, the mega tick in urban birding, and actually in most large cities in the world. Oh look, it's James, who finds all the birds. Here we go. He's running away from me. Watch, he's going to disturb a bird now. What a clown. And so we don't want to talk to him if he doesn't want to talk to us. Let's continue on. But as we're talking about urban birding and the mega tick, before we get distracted by something else, it is the peregrine falcon, which is also the fastest animal in the world, and it can reach terminal velocity over 200 kilometers an hour in its vertical dive for prey. Now, London, New York, I've seen them in London. I haven't seen them in New York. I saw one in LA, of all places. And so they have become adapted to living in that urban environment. Johannesburg, there's actually quite a few breeding pairs. And they're actually at the big sporting stadiums. They encourage, in South Africa, that the falcons reside in the sporting stadiums because it keeps the flying rats away. The flying rats is, of course, the pigeons, vile creatures. But in the urban environment, that is their main source of food, is they hunt those pigeons. So in quite a lot of cities, peregrine falcons are encouraged. And in Johannesburg, at the main rugby stadium, they've actually sort of put up special nesting boxes and stuff to encourage the peregrine falcons to nest there. And it's worked, because you now are at a lot less risk of being defecated on by a flying rat while watching sport because of the incredible peregrine falcons. Now, we're going to continue looking for a bird party while we do that. Let's go back to James to see if he's found his way back to the road.
I must apologize for that, everybody. Sometimes, I don't know what happened there. Let's leave it there. Right, we're going to hopefully find a few birds along this road called Ingwe Alley, which means leopard alley. But given that we know Karula and both babies are on Hofmann's, that no tracks of Tinganana came across this way, he's quite possibly there. But maybe Mvula. Yes, there we go. So there was an educational aspect to what we did. Thank you, X-Ranger. You say it was very interesting to see the bush bounce up again after I ran over it. Yes, indeed, I agree with you. And I know that it may have looked a little reckless, but I do promise you that it was done with due consideration. And we are very careful about which trees we run over. In fact, to the extent that yesterday, I unfortunately ran over a tambuti tree because I thought it was dead, and it popped up again, and then I noticed on the other side that it had some green leaves, and I felt very bad, and I told Eggsy I felt very bad, and I did genuinely feel very bad. So yes, we try and be careful about what we run over. But I'm glad that one popped up again, especially as you were watching me. Wasn't the It wasn't the most ideal situation, but unfortunately I was in it, and I was unable to stop myself. You see, my theatrical nature. Brian, there are some crested francolins, and as we are birding a little bit at the moment, let us have a look at them. Can you see them? They seem to be hiding from you. There they come. There we are. Crested francolin. And as I was saying the other day, if you catch them, especially with that other long lens, if you get them close up, the colours and different patterning on their feathers is quite astounding. There they go. One of 5 species. The Svensons with the red head, the other one. The Natal spurfowl with its pink bill, one of them. Coqui francolin with its gold head. And the Shelleys, which is not that sort of very beautiful when you see them. Difficult to describe, but they have that amazing call. It's so rhythmic. I was hoping Brian would join me there, but he's left me to hang. The crested francolin, of course, the very first sound you hear in the morning. Well, the second sound you hear. Normally it's the grey-headed sparrow that begins the morning chorus. A little bit like a conductor tapping on the lectern. Tick, 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 tick. Before the brass section of the francolins begins. The fanfare to herald the arrival of the sun. I think the orchestra is on leave at the moment, though. Very little singing in the morning. A skeleton orchestra, perhaps the odd janitor picking up the instruments and blowing into them a little bit. There are no leopards on Leopard Alley, Brian? No. Just 3 crested francolins. I did see a leopard orchid, but we played that joke the other day, Brian. Yes, there's a leopard orchid. Ha, ha, ha. It's right up there with zebra crossing, eh? Yes. Oh, here's something quite interesting. Leo Smith doing his clown impersonation. Of course, it is important that all clowns do impersonations of clowns in this region. Now, what we have here is a silver cluster leaf tree. You can see that it has been decimated by a herd of elephants, but also you can see over here, can you see this, Brian? Yes. You can see it is growing again, and it is not dead. And I just cannot get over how amazing these trees are, and how many, possibly hundreds, maybe, I don't think thousands, but maybe hundreds of years these trees have lived and been broken and grown up again, and how their shape has been so profoundly changed by the existence of the great pachyderm. This looks like something would like to live in it. Let me just have a quick look, everyone. I will retrieve my torch. Another lesson I learned from Scott when looking for nests and things. One doesn't want to find a cobra sticking its head out. Does one, Brian? No. No, that would make me scared, and I'd possibly say a bad word. There's nothing living in there at the moment. I've no doubt at some stage during its history something lived in there, and something might go back. It's just quite low down on the ground, so something like those barbets or rollers probably wouldn't go in there. Hello, Justin. Yes, you're absolutely correct. You say you feel like the elephants make it easier for us to collect firewood. They most certainly do make it easier for us to collect firewood. Firewood collection, though, you must remember, in the wilderness is, well, excuse me. Most people do it But remember, every piece of bush, I mean, you know, you've been on bushwalk with Steph, or with me, or with Brent, and Jamie. You know that Herbert finds scorpions and spiders and grubs and millipedes and termites in just about every piece of dry wood that there is lying on the ground here that the elephants have pushed over. And so when you go and collect firewood, I think for a long time we thought, well, we're just collecting dead wood, it doesn't make any difference. It does, it makes a huge difference. And there's a huge movement now where it starts, you know, the consideration is, well, you don't collect firewood, you must grow it specifically for fire if you want it. Because to go and collect dry wood in an area like this, you know, just looks like a huge sort of a resource that's untapped. It isn't. It's a whole ecosystem living in every single little piece of fallen wood here. And it's something to consider. Well, I think anyway. And I've made a mistake, everybody. Many of you have pointed out that I did actually cry on air once. That is true. I did cry. I did a hippo drawing once, everybody, and I became hysterical. I became hysterical with laughter, and tears began to well and flow out of my eyes. Thank you for reminding me of that. I've cried on air, Brian.
Well done.
All right, we're going to say goodbye to you now. We will hopefully see you this afternoon. We'll definitely see you this afternoon, 3 o'clock this afternoon. I'm going to hand you back over to Eggsy there. There he is. And Eggsy is with Brent, of course. And there is the thumb, bidding you a formal Thursday farewell. Bye-bye.
So we finally found a bird. It is a very small bird, and it's keeping Eggsy very busy as it hops around in the tree. Now, of course, it is a silhouetted bird. Now let's see. This is going to be a test for our serious birders. What bird is that? Look at that. So this is a nice, difficult one for you guys to identify. So if you know the answer to what little bird is hopping around in that knobthorn, send us an email, questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Hey, well, we're going to leave that little bird because we're blocking James. And he's stuck behind us, so we will go forward so he can keep moving. Now, Blue Butterfrog would like to know, do the cameramen know the names of the birds in the trees as well as the guides do? Eggsy?
I'm learning.
Is learning. I would say the cameramen probably know it more than some safari guides, but I think maybe in a couple of months or years they might catch up with the guides. But they are also very focused on the camera operation, so they sometimes don't listen, and they've got to listen to us for a lot of time, day after day. So I think certain cameramen definitely. Now you had a lilac-breasted roller with James. No, don't fly into the sun, you terrible bird. Not disappearing into the white light. There's a purple roller. They're just not playing along with Eggsy and I, the birds, today. And we will keep trying. And I was hoping to at least get another hornbill species, but even they are proving to be quite scarce. Or if we do see them, they seem to take off. Well done to James, Richard and Bridget. You are spot on, 100% correct. It is indeed a little crombeck. Now, come on. Bird! One of the more common bird species that we see, the Cape turtle dove. But interestingly, off to the left of the Cape turtle dove is one of the birds we were looking for, not a yellow-billed hornbill, but a red-billed hornbill. So you can see slightly built. The beaks are not as prominent, but very similar behaviorally to a yellow-billed, and he's digging through the sand and dung, trying to find any tasty treats. Oh, he found 1, 2, 3. They are such funny looking creatures. I do love the way they move. Now, there we go. So fortunately, some of the birds came along to play in the last few seconds of the sunrise safari, but exciting prospects for the sunset safari, Nkuhumas and cubs, and I think we're going to have a really wonderful time in a few short hours. But from Eggsy and myself, it's been absolutely splendid having you on the back of the vehicle with us, and maybe our feathered form will equal James on the sunset safari, or maybe James's feathered form will continue. He seems to be on a purple patch when it comes to the birds. I'm a little jealous. But as I said, we'll be doing this all again in a few short hours at 3 p.m. Central African time. It's been wonderful having you in the glorious African dawn. We'll see you just now.